Here's what most men never realize until it's too late. The moment you stop needing a woman emotionally is the moment she starts feeling a magnetic pull she can't explain. Not because you're playing games or being cold, but because you're finally stepping into the rarest and most attractive version of yourself. A man who is whole. A man who is not waiting for a woman to complete him, heal him, or validate him. Now, this isn't about becoming distant or arrogant. It's about grounding yourself in a place of quiet self-respect, where you no longer hand over your emotional peace in exchange for temporary affection. See, the reason many men get trapped in one-sided relationships or feel like they're constantly chasing something they can't grasp is because they're operating from emotional hunger. They don't just want love, they need it. And that need is exactly what women sense. And let's be honest, women don't fall in love with need. They fall in love with strength, with presence, with the man who doesn't flinch under emotional pressure, who doesn't mold himself to be more likable, more palatable, more whatever she wants. What women are testing for, whether they know it or not, is your center. They'll say something hurtful, act hot and cold, cancel plans last minute. Not because they're cruel, but because they're wired to search for security in your response. Can he hold his frame? Does he spiral? Does he beg, argue, or withdraw into silence? Every reaction you give her becomes data. And the man who still shows up calmly, who doesn't make her chaos his home, that's the man she respects. And where there is respect, desire follows. Let me make this plain. When a man is emotionally needy, he will always be chasing. He'll overtext, overthink, over-apologize. He will wait by the phone for her to reply, constantly adjusting himself in hopes she finally chooses him. But when you truly understand your own value, when you see yourself as the one who chooses, not just the one who hopes to be chosen, you stop playing that game entirely. And here's the twist. That's when she starts chasing you. Not because you manipulated her, but because you've become rare. You've become the grounded, emotionally mature man who does not seek rescue. You've stopped asking to be loved and started commanding it by the way you live, the way you walk, and the way you protect your peace. A woman cannot emotionally lead a man. She may try, she may even dominate him for a while, but eventually she'll grow exhausted and lose attraction. What she wants, what her biology craves, is a man who leads himself. A man who holds his inner world steady, regardless of what she feels in the moment. When you embody that, you no longer need to convince a woman to love you. You simply reveal who you are and let her decide if she's ready for it. So when I say, once men know about this, all women are finished, I'm not saying women lose. I'm saying the old emotional power dynamic is over. The days of men bending, begging, and burning out in pursuit of love they never had to earn, that ends the moment a man returns to himself. Remember this, a man who doesn't need her is the man she can finally trust to lead her. And that kind of man is unforgettable. One of the most liberating truths a man can embrace is this: her words are not the full story. In fact, they are often just the surface well-meaning, emotional, sometimes even sincere, but not always aligned with reality. What reveals the truth is her behavior, not what she says, but what she does over time, when no one's watching, when you stop chasing, when she thinks you're no longer trying to impress her. We live in a culture where words are everywhere. Text messages, love songs, social media captions, long late-night calls filled with "I miss yous" and "I just need space." So, yeah. Whatever. And you're everything I've ever wanted. But here's the uncomfortable truth most men overlook. Words are easy. Words cost nothing. They're not promises. They're not proof. They are expressions of the moment, shaped by her emotions, her mood, her hormones, her need for attention, her fear of loneliness, her guilt. And if a man builds his sense of connection and trust based on what a woman says while ignoring what she shows, he will end up confused, anxious, and constantly questioning his reality. You'll hear her say she's loyal, but she still keeps exes orbiting her. She'll tell you she wants commitment, but avoids every conversation about where things are going. She'll say she respects you, but interrupts you, tests your boundaries, and makes you feel like you have to explain your worth. None of that is accidental. That's not bad luck. That's misalignment. And it's not something you fix by giving more. It's something you see clearly without making excuses for it. Because clarity is power. And clarity begins the moment you decide to read her actions louder than her words. Let me be very clear here. This is not about blaming women or painting them as manipulative. That's not the point. This is about understanding feminine nature, which is fluid, emotionally driven, and often unaware of its own contradictions. A woman might truly believe she loves you, and in that moment she probably does. But if her actions consistently show distance, disrespect, or emotional chaos, then love isn't the question. Alignment is, respect is, integrity is. And you have the right and the responsibility to trust your own eyes. When you start living by this principle, something powerful happens. You stop over-investing in relationships that drain you. You stop arguing about things you already know are off. You stop making her potential more important than her reality. And most importantly, you stop betraying yourself to stay in situations that feel like love, but cost you your peace. Women respond to men who can see through the fog. Men who aren't easily swayed by sweet words. Men who observe, listen, and remain grounded in truth, not hopes. When she realizes you're not reacting to her performance, but watching how she shows up consistently, she either elevates herself or removes herself. And either outcome is a win for you. Because you're no longer trying to convince someone to be who they said they were. You're simply watching to see if they really are. So let this sink in. If her words inspire you, but her actions confuse you, believe the confusion. The truth is trying to speak. And your peace, your confidence, your masculine clarity, it all depends on your ability to listen to what's unspoken, to see what's actually unfolding. That's not just emotional intelligence, it's survival in the modern dating world. Because in the end, love isn't what she says to you, it's how she treats you when it matters most. Watch her actions. That's where the real story lives. There's a quiet but powerful shift that happens in a man's life the moment he stops performing and starts owning his place in the world. I'm not talking about arrogance or entitlement. I'm talking about a deep, grounded understanding that you are the prize, not because of what you have, but because of who you are. When you stop chasing, striving, and proving, and start living from a place of self-defined worth. For too long, men have been conditioned to believe that their value in a relationship is earned through effort. If I just buy her enough, compliment her enough, fix her problems, make her laugh, show her I'm better than the rest, then maybe I'll be enough. But that mindset traps you in a loop where your worth is always on trial. You become the performer, the one constantly auditioning for love, attention, or approval. And the more you do it, the more it backfires. Because women don't fall in love with performers. They're entertained by them, temporarily impressed by them, but not moved at their core. What pulls her in is not effort, it's essence. It's the energy of a man who knows he doesn't have to earn his place. He is the place. This is not to say you stop giving, stop leading, or stop being present. A high-value man still brings a lot to the table. But what's different is why he does it. He's not giving to win approval. He's giving from abundance. He's not investing in her to earn her. He's investing to see if she's worthy of him. And that subtle shift changes everything. Because when a man believes he's the prize, he doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't plead, he selects. And he doesn't collapse under pressure, he leads through it. Now, some people hear that and think it sounds selfish, but it's the opposite. When you lead with deep self-worth, you stop manipulating, you stop overpromising, you stop pretending to be what you're not. You become honest. And that's rare. That's real power. A man who knows his value doesn't need to dominate a woman, control her, or win her over with grand gestures. His presence does the work. His boundaries set the tone. His peace becomes the standard. And here's what most men miss. When you operate from this energy, women feel it instantly. She knows you're not emotionally dependent on her. She knows your world doesn't rise and fall based on her mood. And that steadiness, that sense that you won't lose yourself trying to keep her, that's what creates safety. That's what makes her trust you. Because you're not reacting to her, you're rooted in you. This is why women often leave the man who did everything for them and run toward the man who never tried to prove himself. It's not because she doesn't appreciate love. It's because she's drawn to truth, to strength, to the masculine energy that doesn't wobble. And when you believe you're the prize, she finally meets a man who doesn't need to be saved, fixed, or mothered. She meets a man she can respect.